In a world where billionaires are increasing their wealth by $2.7 billion a day with money they stole from workers like all of us who are working hard can't pay our bills, we need to take that money from them. We need to tax the rich to fund the things that we need. And that's why Workers Strike Back has that as a key part of our platform. Because we don't have the money, but they have it. And really it's ours. So, beyond that, I think it's also a really key part of our program to take the top energy corporations into public ownership, because we can't control what we don't own. Climate change is an urgent crisis. So our next speaker is here from Northern Kentucky, where since November, Amazon workers have been building for a union at the Northern Kentucky KCVG Air Hub, which is the largest Amazon air hub in the country. They're demanding $30 an hour starting wage, 180 hours paid time off, and union representation at disciplinary meetings, things all workers need. Management has been absolutely ruthless with targeting and firing workers over the past 2 months, including a lead union organizer named Edward Clark. It's going to take a movement to unionize a corporate giant like Amazon, which is why Griffin is here today. Griffin Ritze is on the KCDG Unionize Amazon Organizing Committee, and he's here to talk to us about how they're carrying out a relentless battle against the richest corporation in the world. Welcome, Griffin.
Putting Jeff Bezos and Amazon on notice today. Working people are sick and tired of settling for less. We're fighting for a union at Amazon's global air hub in Northern Kentucky because we should be working to live, but not living to work. We are not afraid to take on one of the largest corporations in the world to get what we deserve. Last night, workers at KCVG faced a dual crisis. A fire broke out in the south end of the sortation building during the middle of a tornado warning. Workers were forced to move freight and operate machinery in wind speeds above 40 knots, and hundreds of workers were forced to evacuate the building. One coworker told me that all she could think of was the tornado at an Amazon facility in Illinois in 2001, where 6 workers died in a catastrophic building collapse after Amazon refused to shut down the facility. She explained that workers were screaming and crying, thinking that they were going to die either in a fire or in the face of a tornado outside of the building. Management refused to take action, putting their profits above our lives as workers at that facility. These are the stakes for Amazon workers. It's either our lives or their profits.
That's right.
And I'm here to say, enough is enough. Our lives are worth more than their profits, and we're going to fight to have a decent living and real power in the workplace with the union. Speak here today at the Workers Strike Back launch as a member of the organizing committee for Unionize Amazon KCVG and a supporter of Workers Strike Back. Right now, the rest of the committee are rallying outside of the facility with their coworkers to raise our demands for a $30 an hour wage, 180 hours of paid time off, and what it would mean to have union representation against discipline. Last October, while inflation soared, KCVG management rounded us up for an all-hands meeting at 5 in the morning, where they announced an insulting 60-cent an hour raise as a cost of living adjustment. This felt like a collective slap in the face after months of rumors of a $1 or $2 an hour raise. Dozens of my coworkers stormed out of the meeting, and over half of my department left the shift before the day even started. One of my coworkers said he was so angry that he couldn't even bring himself to look management in the eye for the rest of the day, and he had to leave. It was clear to many of us that everything was on the chopping block, including the $2 an hour bonus that we received last year during the peak season from mid-October to January. But we knew that this time Amazon was not going to give us anything unless we got organized. The very next day, myself and a few coworkers began circulating a petition to reinstate peak pay. Within just weeks, we gathered hundreds of signatures, and dozens of our coworkers wore stickers on their chests that said, "We deserve a real raise, bring back peak pay, and make it a permanent raise." We delivered our petition to management on October 24th, besides hundreds of our coworkers at a morning stand-up meeting, but management refused to respond to us as a group. By that point, it became clear to many of our coworkers that we needed a union in order to create lasting change at KCVG and build real power in the workplace. Our organizing committee began drafting demands with our coworkers attending weekly meetings, and on November 10th, we launched a campaign to go public as an independent group of workers seeking a union at KCVG. Since then, we've openly distributed our campaign material at shift change, held countless meetings and training sessions to get our coworkers involved, and now we're preparing to take our campaign to the next stage. It's firing season at Amazon, and the reality is that no worker is safe at Amazon without a union. From January to March every year, Amazon fires thousands of workers company-wide on minor infractions to cut costs after peak season. 150 workers have been fired at KCVG since the first of this year. That's an average of 2 workers a day, losing their livelihood and being humiliated as they are walked off by management, off the job, and security as if they're being arrested. It's disgusting. Since October, Amazon has flown in employee relations staff from Seattle and brought in high-paid, union-busting consultants from corporate consulting firms to begin their union-busting campaign. But every time Amazon goes on the offensive, we fight back twice as hard.
That's right.
By last month, we had raised over $23,000 to rent an office for the campaign and begin organizing a necessary job events campaign for 5 workers who were caught in the crossfire of both Amazon's union busting and their ruthless firing season. But this would not have been possible without the support from Shamasawat, Workers Strike Back, ATU Local 1005, Iron Workers Local 44, Laborers Local 265, IBW Local 2112, and countless working people outside of Amazon who donated their hard-earned wages to our campaign. On January 17th, Amazon fired Edward Clark, a member of our organizing committee, supposedly for leaving his laptop open at a workstation while he was between tasks, doing his job in his work area. Ed is a load planner. It's his job to balance the weights and the loads on Amazon's planes to ensure that flights depart and arrive safely. And while it's technically against policy to leave a laptop unattended, we know what really happened. If we had a union today, Ed would be a shop steward.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's not a yes man who will go along with whatever management says. He's always pushed back on management whenever they tried to cut corners against our safety, work people through their breaks, and treat us unfairly. Amazon knew that Ed became a real threat to them and their bottom line when he got involved in our union campaign, and that's why they fired him. Some of our workers wonder whether this or that person has been fired because of their support for the union. Either way, the recent firings are meant to intimidate and control us through fear. We've used every tool at our disposal to fight back against these recent firings and expose Amazon's illegitimate internal appeals process, which has fired, rehired, and denied appeals to workers involved in the same incident based on favoritism and retaliation. The union busting campaign is a war on the truth. Amazon has created a toxic workplace culture where management is able to turn a monstrous rumor mill against anyone that challenges their authority in order to divide and manipulate workers against the union. Our job defense campaign, with the support of Workers Strike Back and the broader labor movement locally and nationally, has given us real authority in the workplace to demonstrate in action what it means to be a union and what solidarity means. We have helped 3 of our co-workers get their jobs back through internal appeals and won them over to the union in the process while exposing Amazon's illegitimate appeals process. To have a fighting chance to take on a corporation like Amazon, you need to build a real team of workers who can discuss strategy and demands and lead the day-to-day activity of the union. That means breaking routines and going out on a limb to recruit active support from coworkers from every shift, job description, every background, gender, race, ethnicity, and language group in your workplace. The only thing that matters at some point in this work is what your dozens or hundreds or thousands of coworkers think and how you can patiently explain to them that it's in their best interest to fight for a union. Even with union support record highs in the United States, workers need to be convinced to join a union, including those who maybe had a bad experience in a past union job, or the many workers in our workplace that will tell you that they simply don't know what a union is. In both cases, it's our responsibility to show our coworkers what a union is through bold demands and fighting back against retaliation. Sisters and brothers, we've been under heavy fire at KCVG since they fired Edward Clark on January 17th. But our confidence and our campaign's example has been contagious beyond our own activity. When we were hit at KCDG with a heavy snowstorm last month, an entire plainside crew of workers refused to move freight and work around the planes and sat down in the break rooms until the end of their shift. When workers spotted a bedbug outbreak in their crew van, they were told that they would be sent home without pay, but they sat down outside of the HR office until they were sent home with pay. When management went after the cargo tractor drivers in my department for time theft, a coworker of mine printed vinyl target stickers for us to wear on our backs to show management that we are not going to accept working in fear of losing our jobs every day. We're prepared to do whatever it takes to win a union at KCVG and join thousands of workers across the US and around the world in rebuilding a fighting, rank-and-file labor movement that's able to point the way forward for the working class. To win a union at Amazon, we need the entire labor movement to make this struggle their own. And this is also why we urgently need to build Workers Strike Back, to connect working class struggles around this country in solidarity and learn from each other in this fight. Union iron workers and electricians built our workplace. Union pilots fly our planes. And when we win, union workers are going to handle every Amazon package that moves through KCVG.